See, I want to welcome everybody. You should be here if you're like this. If you're in the room, you should be here for the Peace Day Awards. If you're for the spa, that's over there. The next one, over there. Sometimes people see me speaking and they have to show up somehow. Say, my name is Laura Meeks. I'm the 3rd Vice Commander for the AMVETS Post 66. I'm a retired B-52 pilot and a proud transgender veteran. Any other transgender veterans? I'm in my own little cocoon up here. It's my privilege to be your host tonight for the 14th Annual Peace Day event here at Miracle Springs Resort and Spa in Desert Hot Springs. Okay, at this time, we are going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Here he comes. Please, if you'll stand with us.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you today to the International Day of Peace. This is our 14th, Tom, 14th annual Peace Day event, and it's really become quite a desert tradition. How many have seen me up here at the last one? Okay, so a lot of repeat customers. It's good to have you here. The rest of you, welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. We feel like we are some of the few people, and perhaps the only group, that is actually having a Peace Day celebration here in the Coachella Valley. I want to introduce our co-sponsors tonight. Our co-sponsors are, first of all, the Veterans for Peace, John Castro, Chapter 19. A little clapping. Thank you. Frank Moulton, AMVETS Post 66. Thank you. And our third sponsor is Occupy Coachella Valley. Thank you for all your support. I know you guys are all going to enjoy seeing our awardees and our recipients of the awards get their awards tonight. We do have an agenda that we're going to try to keep this lighthearted and fun, but continuing along so that we don't get stuck in a boring situation. I do want to let you know a little bit of history. In 1981, the United Nations General Assembly, by a unanimous vote, adopted Resolution 3667 establishing the International Day of Peace, IDP for those who are really into acronyms. Peace Day is devoted to commemorating and strengthening the ideals of peace, both within and among all nations and peace and people. Peace Day is also a day of ceasefire, both nationally and personally. So I want you to consider this a good day to consider a ceasefire with those people that you are challenged with. Take an opportunity to make peace, not only in your own community, but in your own relationships, because our relationships impact all our communities, and our communities impact our towns and cities, and our cities impact our states, and the states impact the countries, and the countries impact the world. So it all starts with me. At this time, I would like to introduce Corbett Bratton. Corbett is a U.S. Air Force veteran who did service with the Radio Service News as an anchor, a news anchor at Clark Air Base in the Philippines. Anybody been to Clark Air Base? Wow, I got at least 4 people. He's also current Vice President of the Veterans for Peace, and Corbett has some opening remarks. Corbett.
Thank you, Laura. Well, when I talked to Tom, he told me he wanted me to say a few words. I'll see how many people I can piss off in a very short period of time here. We talked about the possibility of discussing my feelings about our current Commander-in-Chief, and I'm going to assume that there may be possibly one person in this room that thinks he's doing a good job. So I'll simply say that I think he's the most despicable human being on the planet, and that's all I'll say about that. Veterans for Peace. We're talking about peace, and usually we think of it in a military context, absence of war. But my thinking, what I wanted to talk a little bit about tonight is the fact that most of us have been out of active duty for quite some time. And so I think that we should expand our thoughts of peace into other areas, not just military. When we do our parades, we always carry the banners, bring home the troops, and that's important. But I think now, maybe we should think about peace in our relationships, in our families, in our workplace, HOA meetings. And there's another place of peace that's one that I emphasize. As you can see on my shirt, maybe, it says peace, love, vegan. I kind of emphasize peace for all the inhabitants of this planet, not just the human animal, but all of the animals. So when I get my plate of food, whenever I get it, I know that there's no torture on it, no pain has been inflicted for me to get my nourishment. So a very short little poem. This is by, I wish I could take credit for writing this, but I can't. It was written by a man named Charlie Feist, and it's called very simply, Vegan Poem. We live in a nation where there's growing condemnation of what is done to those who cannot talk. I once was blind to all their pain, so I couldn't feel the shame in that broken piece of body on my fork. And then I wondered, could any child breed a bird that can't be wild? To eat its wings, take off its legs and its head? No. So we pay for hidden slaughter till we addict our sons and daughters to our habit of eating the dead. And it's not so very long since who could see the wrong in breeding humans as slaves without paying? Could be a woman without a vote, or killing a leopard for its coat. Did we ever see the evil of the day? So, do you think you're any better now the animals we fed her outnumber every human 10-1? And many children hardly eat because your food is fed their meat. And the shame for the blame we pass on. So, give me avocados, and I'll eat tofu burgers. You can even give me black bean curd. But please, don't give me bread if it's wrapping the dead, the remains of the body of a bird. For every piece of flesh you buy, you're paying to breed the next to die. My compassion I can no longer lend. And for the cow, it's worse, I fear. They rape her every year, take every calf, take all her milk until she is dead. This choice, you say, is your right. You can eat just as you like. But it's merely an opinion that I voice. But your choice, it kills so many. And this opinion kills not any. And your victims, you give them any choice? So there's more to avocados and eating tofu burgers than minimizing sickness, which it does, and your girth. No less than Einstein did resolve, from eating flesh we must evolve, or mankind, he said, may not survive on earth. The age in which we're living is ever more misgiving toward those that cannot talk. Are you blind to all their pain? Can you not feel the shame in that broken piece of body on your fork? Enjoy the awards. Bon appetit.
Very nicely done. I love that. Okay, this time I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Colonel U.S. Air Force retired Mary Ann Meeks, and she is going to read a peace prayer.
This evening I'm going to read to you the prayer of St. Francis, a peace prayer of St. Francis. I'm sure most of you have heard it, but I think it's very apropos for this environment. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Thank you, Colonel Meeks. For those of you, I'm not sure in the back if you can see this, but up here in front is a chair designated as the POW MIA empty chair. This is a ceremonial piece to our celebration, and I want to let you know that this chair honors the commitment and the sacrifices made by this nation's prisoners of war and those who are still missing in action and their families. So it is now my privilege to bring you our keynote speaker, Dale OLANSKY. So Dale, if you'll come up while I'm introducing you. It's my pleasure to introduce you now to Dale OLANSKY. Dale is the lead practitioner at the Center for Spiritual Living in Palm Desert, a place that I frequent periodically. and she is spiritual counsel to people who can be, so that they can be free to live a happy and healthy life. Dale has written a book. Her book is called Fear to Faith, A Daily Guide to Finding Solace in an Uncertain World, and her speech today is titled The Path to World Peace Begins with Me.
It's really an honor for me to be up here today. I was asked, Linda STARR put my name in the contending to be speaking today, so I'm absolutely honored to be here today. It's great to be in the company of people who really would like to see peace in this world and that are meeting annually to talk about that. In April of 2018, my mom made her transition, and it isn't until after she passed that I've realized all the wisdom that she gave to me. And as a little girl, when I was about, I'd say 8 years old, I ignorantly asked my mom why we had so much military when there was peace in the world. Why did we have to have so much? And she gave me that look that, you didn't ask that, did you? Look. And she said, peace is so precious, and it's so important for us to have this vigilance and to have a lot of military presence so that we can keep the peace. And now flash forward to where I am today when I'm helping people with their spirituality and to see where they can find peace within them. And I realized that we too must be vigilant on keeping the peace within ourselves, because we are the only ones who have control over our consciousness and the decisions that we make and our thinking. And so for me, it's all about applying that same vigilance and diligence around our thinking and being able to be the observers of our thought. Ernest Holmes said that if we don't want to start with a peaceful mind, peace is not going to show up in our lives. And so this is a call for mindfulness. And I don't know how many of you practice mindfulness or know what it is, but it's really about becoming the observer of what you're thinking, what is going on in your mind, where are your thoughts going? And for peace to begin with us, we have to see where we are not at peace. And it's really important for us to start there and to examine what's going on in my life. How am I thinking? Where am I feeling restless? Where am I feeling agitated? And that's where we begin to unfold the need for us to have that peace and where to apply it. And so it's really important to examine that, examine our history. Where in my past do I not feel peaceful about myself? What about my actions? Are there things about my actions in the past that I need to make peace with? Are there people that I still have grudges with that I need to make peace with? And so it's important for us to be able to look within and be courageous and say, where do I need to find peace? Because nobody else is going to do it for us. We have to be our own inner peacekeepers. It's so important. And, there's so much going on today in our world that puts us out of that peace of mind, but only we can put ourselves back into that. And also, it's important for us to examine our judgment. What's going on? Are we judging people? Are we filled with hate? Are we judging others? Are we judging people who don't agree with us as being wrong? These are signposts for us to look and see what's going on with my consciousness that needs to be worked. We do have a lot of, it seems like in today's world, just where we are right now, and I know we're just passing through this and going to be on the other side of that, but it's almost like hate has just become so prevalent in our society and has taken on such, it's almost like it's the word I'm looking for. It's like tribal. Thank you. It's tribal. It's tribal, and it's reinforced. That's the word I was looking for. It's like reinforced, and it's a habit, and it's a thought, and it's consciousness, and it's time for us to really integrate back that understanding of love and peace and understanding. Paramahansa Yogananda has a wonderful quote. He says, "Though we may seem divided by race, creed, color, class, and political prejudices, still as children of the one God, we are able in our souls to feel brotherhood and world unity. In our hearts we can all learn to be free from hate and selfishness. Let us pray for harmony among the nations, that they march hand in hand through the gate of a fair new civilization." And so here's the work to do, is to understand that we really are all one, and we've taken on this consciousness of division, of separateness, of I'm different than you, and then all this hate that comes up from it. And there is our work to do. Even if we see others still participating in that mentality, the peace is going to start with us. And, I believe that we are all connected. I believe we're all one. I believe the energy of all of us is shared, and that whatever I am thinking, especially in large groups, it's going to be transferring out into the world. And that just goes to show how vitally important it is for us to watch our consciousness, to cultivate the inner peace, so that peace can have momentum, and it can have energy and vibrancy, and it can go out to the world. And I know, there's things we can do in this physical world, and there's things we can do in the spiritual world. And in the spiritual world, we can mind our energy and keep it at peace. And like I said, it begins by self-examination and moving to a place where we can come to peace, see what's not at peace within ourselves, and do the work, do that work to bring ourselves into inner peace. And I know it's really hard, but we've got to exercise compassion towards others, even those people who just, I'm going to just say it, that piss us off, right? Those people, there's our work to do. You can have your little, I'm so pissed off, but we've got to come back to compassion, love, and understanding, because we really don't know what makes people be and act the way that they are. Chances are those people that do things that disturb us have been treated horribly and have come up into life thinking it's okay to treat others like that because they've been treated like that. So it's so important for us to exercise compassion and understanding towards others, not to condone bad behavior, but at least in our hearts to have that understanding so we aren't dragged into anger and hate towards others, to come at that with more of a loving heart and a kindness. And also, it's important for us to think about our reactions to this world. I know a lot of people say, the world's never been this awful, the world's never been this hateful. And I've got news for you, yeah, it has. It's been even worse. And so to remember that what's going on in this world right now, I believe, honestly, we're going through a healing phase, and this is just the harsh part of it. This is the part where all that ugly stuff is just coming up so it can be healed. And so it's important for us to be mindful of, how am I reacting to this world? Am I getting dragged into the anxiety? Am I getting dragged into the gloom and doom? Or can I take a step back and have some faith? I know faith is individual to all people. Some of us believe in a higher power, some of us don't. But I know that we can believe in love, and we can believe in the possibility that things can change. And if we just have that ray of hope, we're putting that energy of possibility of change into the whole universe. and bringing about a greater possibility for that to happen. So again, to be mindful of how we're reacting to our world and find that safe place within yourself, because you've got it. There's a place within all of us that is a higher wisdom, that knows that everything is going to be fine. We just need to ride this out and come together with people who are like-minded, who we can share our hearts with, and who we can remind ourselves that our energy together can bring about this good, doing whatever work it is for us to do on the physical plane as well as the spiritual plane. So in closing, I just want to say that peace really is a choice. It's something that is ours to do or not to do, but it really is a choice that we can make. To just cut free of that anger and the hate and the fear, and to come to a better place of peace within ourselves, because it's contagious. Peace and love are contagious. When you go out in that world and there's people that are grumpy or they're upset, and you come with a smile on your face, you affect that person, and you bring a relaxation to them. When they look at your face and you're not as uptight as they are, they're going to smile and they're going to feel peace in their spirit. There's so much that we do for people that you just don't know, just by taking that step back and keeping yourself into a place of deep peace and faith and understanding. And so I encourage you on this day, on this wonderful day where we, actually the whole weekend it's been all about peace, is to really stand in faith and look around and see the good that is everywhere. Rather than turning on the news and getting agitated, look in your community. Look at stories of goodness that people are doing. Be in gratitude. Look at your own life and see what you have to be grateful for. And just pull yourself back into a space where you can be at peace with your life, with your surroundings, and just remember that change is always happening and good is always yearning to come forward. And when we have that awareness and that knowing in our heart, we're going to see it, because I know that's how life works. When we affirm it and when we know in our hearts that good and peace can be the end result of all the stuff that's going on right now, we're going to see it happen. And that's all I have to say today. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. Oh.
Excellent, thank you.
Excellent presentation. Piggyback on what Dale had said, because we had the pleasure of going back to a family wedding. Anybody been to a wedding lately? It gives you the chance to have a chance to talk to other people who have other ideas. And I had the pleasure of talking to my brother-in-law, who is a fan of the current administration. Now, the reason that I bring this up is because while you are here in this room, you're in your own tribe of sorts. You have a lot of people that are thinking the same way you are. But as Dale so eloquently said, your job now is to learn to talk to others. And not necessarily to fight others, but to learn to converse in a way that you can bring your spiritual peace that you've gained from what Dale has told you. You find the peace in here, and then you bring it out into your family, into your community, into your state, your country, and the world. That's how we make that change. What I'd like to do right now is we have a chance to have a musical interlude. JB, raise your hand.
Thank you. And Tom, thank you for inviting me again. I'm very honored to be performing at yet another one of your events. So I'm going to be singing a few peace songs, and they're ones you should know, so please feel free to join me if you'd like. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. You imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us and the world will be as one. Now this one, nobody has an excuse not to sing with me. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. Start that a little high. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm always in awe when people stand up and sing a cappella, aren't you? Another round. And good job for everybody singing on your own. It connects us all once we share something like that. At this time, I'd like to introduce Darren Schimmer. Am I getting that right? Darren, come on up. Darren's from the Office of the County Supervisor, Manuel Perez, and he is going to present the county resolution for the AMVETS Express anniversary.
It is my pleasure to be here to recognize an exemplary service project provided to the community and an impressive group of volunteers who have compiled a remarkable record of volunteer service over the past 15 years. 85,500 hours, 540,000 miles, a value that's estimated at over $2.2 million to the community, and 14,000 Coachella Valley veterans served with transportation to get to their life-saving care at VA Loma Linda Hospital and at no charge to these veterans. These volunteers do this every weekday, as they have continuously done for 15 years, 5 days a week. They do this with no compensation and not even a tip. And they volunteer not to seek recognition, but to quietly and professionally do the job which they do superbly. They gladly drive our veterans, and in doing so, they answer the call to care for those who have borne the battle. These volunteers are worthy of commendation, and while some individuals have been recognized for their achievements over the years, tonight we have the historic opportunity to have the largest group of these volunteers all together to honor as a group and extend our appreciation to them. It's now my privilege to honor the veterans of AMVETS Express. I'm going to list the name of the volunteers. Robbie Hagan.
Could be with us tonight.
Okay, Dave Deal.
If you're here, if he reads your name, if you would stand up so we could honor you.
Gary Amy. Daryl James.
He's in the hospital.
Charlie Brown. Rigo Arroyo. Brian Barger. And Teresa Miller. And we have Tom Swan here. Tom, it's my pleasure to present this county proclamation to you,
Thank you.
honoring the 15th anniversary of AMVETS Express.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, at this time I'm going to bring back Corbett from the Veterans for Peace, who's going to announce our awardee recipients tonight.
At this time, I would like to introduce Linda STARR. Linda is representing the Office of State Assembly Member Eduardo Garcia. And we're going to ask Linda to read the proclamation from Mr. Garcia's office and let it be known that each recipient of an award will be given a copy of this proclamation.
Thank you very much. As you know, the life of a politician, they're never home. They maybe come one weekend, maybe one day, so they can spend it with their family. They're very dedicated. They're living their passion and their purpose. And so the staff is very busy, and I'm an ambassador. It's not a paid role, but I'm very proud to help them out. I love them very much, and I'm very proud of what they do. This is, again, from the California Legislative Assembly. It's going to be presented to the awardees, Certificate of Recognition. And it is in honor of the 14th Annual Peace Day celebration, which actually is usually on 9/21, but we moved it today, 9/22, but it still is in effect. And it reads, on behalf of the California State Assembly, Assembly Member Eduardo Garcia and his staff congratulate you for receiving the Peace Day Award. Best wishes on your future endeavors. And it's Desert Hot Springs, California, September 22nd, 2019. He represents us in the 56th Assembly District. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda, for representing Mr. Eduardo Garcia and the presentation of this great award. At this time, I will introduce our award winners of the Veterans for Peace Peace Day Award and the person who will present that award. First to Yolanda Brown, presented by Yasmin Espinoza. She is a founding member of Border Kindness.
Good evening. I'm Yasmin Espinoza. I'm with Border Kindness. When you hear the words Alanta, water drops, the pink shelter, San Diego shelters, these are words that go along with Yolanda Brown. She's been ungiving with her time, her energy, and the energy that she has had. I ran across Yolanda 2 years ago, and it was an interesting meeting, but I followed her, and I noticed one evening on a cold night, it was about 28 degrees, her cell phone was on, and I asked her, I said, message her, I said, what are you doing up so late? What are you doing? It's so cold. And she goes, I'm waiting for someone to leave Alonto. She didn't know this person. She was in the middle of the night by herself, waiting for someone she had never met to give them a ride so they could eat something other than a cold burrito that they've been having, to take them to an all-night Walmart so they could buy clothing, and she let them pick it out. Then she brought that person for a haircut later on that day. This is how we got to meet. And I told myself, I said, this is a person that warmed my heart, and I wanted to follow and and lift up. So as a warrior, with myself and Bill and my husband Pete, we have all been supportive of her. Yolanda is an amazing person, and I hope you all get to some time with her. So with that, I would like to introduce Bill. Bill is going to be accepting the award for Yolanda.
I'm not Yolanda. On behalf of Yolanda, I'm going to be accepting this award for her. She is on her way back to Mexicali to do the work that she does. The one thing that I would share with you is that she would hope that when she looks left, she sees you there, and that when she looks right, she sees you there. This is not just the job of one person. She needs everyone involved. So thank you on behalf of her. I accept this award for her.
Thank you.
The next award is to be presented to Oscar Ortiz, and it will be presented by Michael Milan, board member of ACLU.
Good evening, everybody. All right, tonight I have the honor and the privilege of introducing someone I consider to be a friend, but more important than that, somebody who is a champion for representative government, a champion for human rights, a champion for civil rights. Not to mention an accomplished chemist who attended Stanford University. Oscar Ortiz is an inspiration to communities of color, to young people. He is a millennial who serves as a council member for the city of Indio. So it has been said, there have been headlines that have proclaimed millennials are waiting. For who? For what? Any millennials here in the room? Not waiting for us then. But the millennials are who they've been waiting for. Our President Barack Obama had said, "We've been waiting for you." I don't think the characterization is entirely fair. Millennials are increasingly politically active, especially here in the Coachella Valley. Older activists are too dismissive because they expect younger activists to continue their causes and don't recognize that millennials have their own issues and unique priorities. One millennial who has recognized that power concedes nothing without a demand and has forcefully stated his demands is our honoree tonight, Mr. Oscar Ortiz. With minimal help from particular partisan organizations, establishment groups, he's developed his own grassroots caucus, articulated a detailed and sophisticated platform of local and national issues, and ran a successful campaign for a seat on the Indio City Council. Once seated, he has pursued an activist agenda and refused to stand down when he knew that his position was just. I'd like to add that Oscar Ortiz is what I like to characterize as a GSD activist. He gets shit done. He is a boots on the ground, mud on the tires activist. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my friend, the Honorable Oscar Ortiz.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy to receive this award from you, and I'm really happy to work alongside all these great people as well, and to be a representative for my community. And I've been very blessed to receive so much support from people inside Indio and outside of Indio as well. So it's just been a great year so far, and I really appreciate all of the support from all of you. So thank you and happy Peace Day.
Is Lenny O'Neill, representing Lenny O'Neill. You told me wrong, Lou. Presented by Lou Stewart.
I'd like to read a short bio of a young climate activist, Leah Namagarwa, from Kampala, Uganda. She says 2 things prompted her to walk out of school on Friday: the example of Greta Thunberg's One Girl Strike, and a near total neglect of climate change by those in charge of her country. I noticed adults were not willing to offer leadership, and I chose to volunteer myself, Leah said. Environmental injustice is injustice to me. Leah was supposed to be in New York this weekend for the UN Youth Summit, but was denied a visa by the US State Department.
Oh, really?
Anyway, Leah's motivation reminds me of my friend and fellow activist that we are honoring this evening, Lenny O'Neill. Like any true activist, Lenny saw an injustice and did not wait for permission to redress it. She volunteered herself. She didn't just speak truth to power. She grabbed power by the ears and rubbed its nose in truth. In deep discussion with the elected Activist of the Year, Megan BEAMAN, she pinpointed the lack of coordination between groups in the east and west communities of the Coachella Valley and formed a coalition to address the social injustice issues that affect both: the need for sanctuary cities and sanctuary state, the need to end the gratuitous cruelty of ICE, and the administration policy of family separation and denial of due process, and finally the need to assist groups like Border Kindness. For your unwavering determination to promote social justice in your community, Lenny, the Peace Day group recognizes and honors the East-West Alliance.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I retired here to the desert 3 years ago, looking to live out a peaceful life like most retirees. I was going to swim, I was going to play canasta, I was going to bike ride, because I had been a hard-knuckle Brooklyn divorce lawyer my whole life, so I was going to relax. And then the election happened. And it set into motion a series of things that are so unjust and so unkind that it infuriated me as a person, as an attorney, as an activist. Every inch of my being was offended by the things that were developing. And then the separation of families happened. My friend Megan, who is also going to be honored here tonight, is a very well-respected local immigration attorney. And I decided that we would form a group. From my perspective, when I moved here, I was puzzled by the divide between East and West. Again, I'm not a native, so I didn't really recognize it. I'd come to see what the issues are. But we thought that it was important in a time of national constitutional emergencies that we seem to find ourselves in all the time, that we have some unity and peace between the activists in the East and the activists in the West. I'm from Cathedral City, Megan is from Coachella, and we form the East-West Alliance. And the purpose of our group was to impart information to people about issues that impact all of us. We've hosted 3 town halls so far, focusing on the issue of separation of families and working very closely with our friend and colleague, Yolanda Brown of Board of Kindness. So we still have a lot of work ahead of us, but we find serenity and peace in the collegiate feeling that we have among each other, that we're stronger together. And in terms of the people who wish us harm, no justice, no peace. Thank you.
The next award goes to Sylvia Montenegro, representing SALTON Sea Coalition, and that will be handled by Chuck Parker.
Thank you very much. I've known Sylvia for about a year. She decided to come out of retirement to help us try to solve the problems besetting the Salton Sea. And she's someone who has dedicated her entire life to serving her family, her community. She's accomplished more in her life than probably 5 or 6 other very dedicated people we could name. She's a former mayor of Coachella, one of the founding members of the Coachella Valley Housing Coalition, and has long served as a dedicated volunteer for education. So I'll let Sylvia have a few words here to enlighten you. She served our coalition very well. Wherever she goes, she's an ambassador. She brings out the best in people, and we're very happy to have her with us.
Gracias. En español, gracias. I'm still learning to speak English. Thank you. I am so honored to be asked to be here with you tonight. This is so very special in my life because you are people of peace. You are people of goodwill. And I think I hear people of political goodwill. But what is most important is that in each and every one of you, there is hope. I love the music that was sung tonight. I love the words that have been said tonight, because without peace, we cannot progress. We continue to beat on one another. But why? Why are we being called on to hate one another by the president? Well, I cannot hate, and I hope you cannot either. And there is so much work to do. I am involved with the Salton Sea Coalition Group, something that my good friends, Chuck Parker and Feliz Nunez, and tonight I have here Bob Mueller and others who invited me to become involved with the restoration of the Salton Sea, a most polluted body of water, the largest lake, state of California. And why hasn't it been restored? Because of lack of political will. That's all. But we are here now. We are working to restore the Salton Sea. It cannot be done by amateurs. It is, the only solution is scientific. And it must be done because we are all affected. Not one of us here is exempt from being hurt by what is in the air now. We are all breathing the same air. Our children are breathing the same air. And my newest great-granddaughter is present tonight. She too has to breathe this air. And then how about the unborn? They too must breathe this air. So it is urgent, imperative that the state of California, under whose jurisdiction the Salton Sea is, to take action now. Yes. Action to now use the monies that have been appropriated for natural resources and water. It is there. The funds are available, but the political will is not. Now we're working on the political will, and we're doing it in the best way possible. We are all practicing diplomacy. We must be diplomatic. and it can be done. The solution can be brought about. We have proposed to bring in water from the Sea of Cortez, that is Mexico, which again would require us to work diplomatically with Mexico, and we can do it. The funds are available. Then the scientists need to go to work. And I pray that I live long enough to see the day when the rush of water comes through from what I imagine to be an open aqueduct, lined aqueduct with pumping stations that would be run by solar power, and that we are going to desalinate, and we will provide fresh water for Imperial County and fresh water for the Salton Sea, and that our little birds will come back again because they've died, and that our fish will come back again, and most of all, that we, all of us, can live a better life. We have 3 schools out in Salton, at Salton City. We have a little elementary school, Seaview. We have a middle school, and we have a high school. Those kids have to live with the stink from the Salton Sea. How about our teaching staff who commute to work there? They're blessed people, our teaching staff. They're angels to go so far to teach. But with that, I close, and I thank you again. I am very honored, and I believe that at 82 years of age, I might still stick around to see my water come through. You better.
Next award to Megan BEAMAN, JACINTO, our elected official of the year, and that will be presented by Lenny O'Neill.
When I moved to the desert 3 years ago, I literally knew 2 people in the desert. So I went into the Democratic headquarters and I said, I need the name of the smartest lawyer in town. And the card that I got belonged to her. And it proved to be true. Megan is a brilliant attorney. She is a labor law attorney and specializes also in immigration law, which, as we know at this time, is a really needed service in our community. Megan has conducted throughout the Coachella Valley free legal clinics, free meaning that she takes the money out of her pocket and pays for everything, and people can come in and avail themselves of her expertise and her services. She, as I said, she helped start the East-West Alliance, and then she went on to even bigger things. She ran successfully to be a councilperson in Coachella, and since she's gotten there, she's done an absolutely fantastic job. To me, Megan is the entire package. She is a wonderful attorney. She's a fantastic family person, a loving spouse, a loving mother. Right? She has a lot of balance in her life, and that really is the key to a lot of peace and serenity. So I would like to introduce my friend Megan and her co-counsel.
Well, it is really a pleasure to be here and an honor to be receiving this award from people who themselves are so honorable and righteous. Veterans in general, and so many of you in the room, have given so much of themselves, their physical and mental well-being, for our well-being, to defend our country. But even more honorable is the work that you are doing, having been through that struggle and that sacrifice and oftentimes trauma, and then coming back committed to prevent that others go through those same experiences and to set our country on a better path. You know, I have to share a little experience. A couple of weeks ago, we took the kids to the Palm Springs Air Museum, which is one of our getaways from the heat, although it's kind of hot in there anyway, in the warehouses. And if you've been there, you know it's not only, you know, a show of aircraft, but also a lot of military aircraft, and there's some military history involved as well. And Both the kids saw a display that involved one of the bomber aircrafts, and not my area of specialty, right? But some of you will probably know what I mean. And there was a video, audio there that talked about the way that the aircraft dropped bombs and also what the bombs did. They explode and they destroy things. And so you might have had the question, but what if the people on the ground don't get out of the way in time? And so rather than answering that question like really skillful parents, we just moved on to the next exhibit, because it's hard to have that conversation really with a lot of people, and to explain something like that to kids. I don't know where to start yet, because we know the reality. We know that historically our country has committed so much more resources to fighting in other countries and to fighting for causes overseas than it has invested in our domestic education and healthcare and housing, environment, and so many other benefits, particularly those benefits for the very veterans that are fighting abroad. We know that choices are made to fight and bomb so-called terrorists abroad, while we're seeing, go ahead. Go with Daddy. While we're seeing domestic terrorism in the form of mass shootings, which are often fueled by racism and misogyny, right here in the U.S. And as the government paints itself as a caretaker of the rest of the world, waging war in that name, it's also caging children right here in our own country. As the government fights in the name of justice, advancements of rights for women, people of color, immigrants, LGBT community, and so many more are being reversed right here at home. So for those reasons and so many more, the dedicated work of the Veterans for Peace, and more broadly our allies and our fellow activists for justice around the Valley and the country is critical. We have to see the problems and the solutions. We have to combine all of our truths, all of our realities, our traumas, our skills, our souls to ensure that justice keeps advancing for our communities. We have to take care of our veterans and their families, and literally everyone in the country. This is the wealthiest nation in the world with the greatest potential in the world, and we cannot give up until every person has health care, a living wage, a secure home, freedom from violence, including the violence of the government, and the actual promise of opportunity and success. Until we've achieved that true culture of peace, we can't give up. So I thank you all for this honor, but even more, I thank you for your invaluable commitment to fight for justice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next recipient, Linda Starr, presented by TomSwannHernandez.
I'm going to say a few words first. While Linda's coming up, I'm going to say a few words. I'm TomSwannHernandez. I'm the founder and president of Veterans for Peace. And I'm also the founder and commander of AMVETS Post 66. And I'm a member of Occupy Coachella Valley. And I started this Peace Day here in the Coachella Valley 14 years ago. And for the last 13 years, I've been the MC. And you have to admit, Laura Meeks is our MC tonight. Looks better than me, she's smarter than me, and she's doing a much better job. Great job, wonderful job. We have a good turnout tonight, but in the future, I'd like to see more people come to Peace Day. You know, it's really troubling to me that Groundhog Day is more popular in America than Peace Day. And that's really sad to me, because peace is vital to our survival. I'd like to introduce my husband who's here tonight, TomSwannHernandez, and I'd like to remind you who he is, or maybe some of you are new to our family and you don't know who he is, but my husband's been in immigration custody 2 times. In 2016, he was arrested because he trespassed at the Spa Casino. He was not 21 years old yet. I told him not to go because he's spending my money. But he went, and he was underage, and so he was arrested, so ICE took him into custody. And State Assembly Member Rob Bonta was so upset by that. That little misdemeanor, just a little going to the casino when you're a little too young, that he introduced the Truth Act, and he talked about Dermo at his press conference when he introduced that bill. And I went to Sacramento and testified for the legislature to support that bill. And Dermo was then put in ICE custody again. He's been in Imperial County. He's also been in Adelanto. And we have an immigration hearing in January. And we hope you'll pray for us. You've supported us. You've helped us the last 3 years. He's my caregiver. I'm diabetic. I have AIDS. I'm blind. He's my caregiver. If he is deported to Mexico, I probably will die. And we were married in 2016. He was in immigration custody, and we had to get permission from ICE to have the marriage at the immigration facility, detention facility. And it was the first same-sex marriage in immigration history. It was international news story. It was even carried in England. The fact that we got married, it was an international story, and you know, we didn't ask for the recognition, but it just so happened we were the first one, and so we made history, and it was on television and all the newspapers. Now, I'd also like to ask that you pray tonight for Gerald James, who's in the rehab. He's a 92-year-old World War II Navy veteran, member of AMVETS. And also Bob Calvert could not be with us tonight because he's sick. Now I'd like to present these awards, but look, one more little thing. We have, this is very important. We have some sponsors tonight for our program. We want to thank Shelley Kaplan, who we wish was re-elected in City Council. We've been doing a miss him in Cathedral City. I hope Cathedral City doesn't go backwards. It was going forward, and I hope it doesn't go backwards. We really need Shelley back on that council. Yep. And we also have Faye Chow is a wonderful friend. She's an activist and national active and retired federal employees. And we also have Felicia Nunez and Chuck Parker, our sponsors tonight. We cannot create and sustain a peaceful world unless we give of ourselves. And Linda Starr has been giving since she was a teenager, maybe even younger. She has supported and worked with almost every charity and nonprofit in the Coachella Valley. She's a feminist leader, a leader of all kinds of ways and means. She's a feminist. She helps elected officials do their job, and she helps people get elected. And she's an ambassador for State Assembly Member Eduardo Garcia. And she's helped Veterans for Peace and AMVETS a great deal. And when I had a rat infestation, she took it upon herself to sort of like adopt me and got me some help from Rudy's Pest Control that donated their labor and their material to fix that problem for me, because I'm blind and have AIDS, and I had all rats all in my mobile home, and she's the problem solver. She fixed it for me. And she's the giver, and she's not always gotten the credit she deserves. And some people have actually not really been kind to her, and it's a shame, but you know, we live in a world that's kind of falling apart right now. But Linda's been overlooked by many people for what she's contributed to this desert. And so I'd like to present an award to Linda Starr, please.
Thank you, Tom. It was my privilege. That situation happened, and it was awful. When the call in his home, there were literally rats eating into his mobile home and coming into his house. I don't think anybody would want to live with that. And I prayed and prayed, how am I going to solve it? And I went around to different offices that I thought could help me, but it wasn't immediate. It was like giving me a form. I thought, nah, that's not gonna work. So I sat in prayer. I said, I'm gonna fix this. And I remember when I'm an actress and I've been in TV commercials and things like that, so I still study stuff like that. I see a TV commercial for Rudy Pest Control, but I don't know Rudy, that doesn't matter. But my friend, Mario Hernandez, who has a huge tile company out here, and lots of wonderful things. Another giver. He's in the commercial doing a testimonial for Rudy. And I said, okay, I'm going to call Mario. I text him. He called me back very quickly. He says, what do you need? I said, I need help to do a blessing for a veteran. And I said, but I don't know Rudy, but you do. He said, give me a little time. I said, don't take too long. And he got back to me, and at the end of the story, after maybe a week and a half the most, it got done. It got fixed. And it would have cost anybody that would have had that done over $1,000. It cost nothing. Get it? Now that's love. That's kindness. And that came to me through God. How did I remember that? How did I see it? Why was I in front of the TV that day? Why did it come back in my mind? It was God. That's what I believe. And that's the way I was born. My whole life, I'm 70 young. Don't make age my cage. That's not, I didn't make that up. That's from a very well-known person, Dr. Tom Costa, from the Center of Spiritual Living in Palm Desert. And without that teaching, I've gone through some very rough times. But guess what? I'm still here. I'm a warrior. I've been a warrior for people all my life, for children, raised a lot of money for the hospitals, education, you name it. I don't care. We're here to love each other, to help each other, to educate each other, to be kind to each other, to show respect for each other. I love the veterans. Tom and I know each other forever. When I was on the board of NOW, there's another lady. Would you please stand up? You were on the board of NOW too. We marched together with Veterans for Peace. We were on the corner with signs. Peace for all of us. And also, you know, the ACLU. Yes, that too. And the commissioner under Roy Wilson for women and children's rights. I like men too, because don't forget, if we don't have the men and the women, we don't have, you know, we don't have the race. So anyway, thank you so much for this honor. And I so appreciate it. And you know, Tom needs help. He's supposed to be getting a surgery next month on a hip. We need better laws for our veterans. Without the veterans, we would not have our freedom. Do you know that? I know that. We need to help people like him and other people when he needed a wheelchair, when he needed transportation, anything. They deserve it all. They gave their life for us. Do you know on April the 27th, we erected a monument in the Cathedral City Cemetery? It took over 15 years to get that passed? And I'm proud to say that I work with Assemblyman Eduardo Garcia. Now, he was one of the fine people that made this happen to get Governor Brown to sign the bill. Is that amazing? And then we were there. And there it is. Anytime any of you can go there. Boy, are we lucky. We have this fine man over here, and he needs help. So whatever you can say or do, help the veterans like TomSwannHernandez get as many benefits as he can while he's still here. And I want to end it saying, my belief in life is that there is only one race. It's called the human race. We should stay together, love each other, support each other, and believe me, we'll do a lot more for this generation and for the next to follow. Thank you.
And Tom will stay because he presents the next award to Chad Shipley from AMVETS.
I wanted to also say, I forgot to say this earlier, Sylvia Montenegro's grandson served in Afghanistan in 2006 in the Army Artillery, and we thank him for his service. Chad Shipley is the first vice commander and service officer for AMVETS Post 66. He's also the commander of the Disabled American Veterans. As a service officer, he helps veterans fill out their compensation claims for disability. He also helps veteran widows get their benefits, and the children of veterans get their benefits. And he's a volunteer. Some people do this for a living and get paid a good amount of money for doing this. Chad does it as a volunteer. He donates his time over about 120 hours a month. He drives 500 miles a month, and he doesn't charge anything. And he has over 120 active cases. And he also, when he's not doing that, which is a lot, he drives veterans to the hospital. He helps at Judy Shea's homeless veteran facility, and he's a wonderful person. And we want to give him an award to Chad Shipley, please.
Thank you to Laura, and thank you to Tom. I sincerely appreciate this. I will try to keep my remarks here a little bit short. 3/4 or half, if not all, of the veterans equation is always forgotten. A lot of these facts we don't see day to day in our regular lives. I see it because I try to go out there and help some of the folks I can and be a little bit better than yesterday. Some of these people that we don't talk about would be like Guillermo, Tom's husband, half of the number. My husband, Larry Clark, half of the number. That's our own interpersonal communities. So we sit up here and we are just shocked at the amount of abuse and hate in our political spectrum. And what I try to do is focus in on our community with my neighbor, my friend, my other neighbor, even my neighbors I don't like sometimes because they have music too loud. But we always say race, race, race. We always say millennials, we always say Generation X, baby boomers. We always categorize this. So why don't we do this as a challenge for all of us and make this right here in each one of our homes, our driveways, our neighborhoods, the human place.
Yay!
The human place. And that's all I tried to do, so thank you very much.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And now we'll try this again because I understand she's here. Jacqueline Lopez of the Office of Representative Raul Ruiz. She will read the proclamation.
Oh, sure, yes. Hi, good evening. Good evening. First of all, I just want to say congratulations to all the honorees today, including my council member who's out here somewhere. I don't wear my glasses. Oscar, congratulations. Good to meet you. Okay. And as well to, just want to say, I've been attending your events, Tom, for the off and on for the last 10 years. And it doesn't seem like it was just yesterday when I attended the one when you used to have it in downtown Palm Springs. So again, congratulations on another successful event. 14 years? 14 years. Congratulations. Okay. Here on behalf of Congressman Dr. Raul Ruiz, we have a certificate of congressional recognition to all our honorees today. And it's an honor being recognized for Veterans for Peace for the 14th Annual International Day of Peace Awards ceremony. On behalf of California's 36th Congressional District, we thank you for your commitment providing, for this one is food, clothing, shelter, medical services for the families at the border. This is for the East-West Alliance. And I want to say congratulations to everyone for being social justice champions in our community. President, on this day, 22nd of September, in Desert Hot Springs, signed Congressman Dr. Raul Ruiz. So I'll go ahead and present these, or? No, we're just gonna. Oh, just want me to just read this? Okay, thank you.
The song I'm about to do is, I was actually kind of surprised that it came up on the list of peace songs when I was looking for songs to do at this event. So it's one of my favorite songs and I hope you enjoy it. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies, they are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream, they really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh why can't I?
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Songs. See, I want to thank, how about one last round for all the awardees all at once. Thank you. Fabulous job, and thank you very much for any and all donations that you gave. We literally were coming up with trying to create something really unique and different, and we thought, hey, we could pass the hat. It's like, hey, we get a hat. We'll just pass the hat. So, it's kind of like the old days. So I appreciate all that. We have a few more things to go through here. The next thing that I want to do, we had a number of members who have transitioned during the last 12 months. And so I'd like to, at this time, bring up Lorraine Salas.
Hi everyone, good evening. It's good to see everyone here today. And I just want to thank Tom Swann for putting a few minutes aside for CAROLYN KRAUSE. I don't know if any of you remember CAROLYN KRAUSE. She had just a very powerful impact, not only in so many lives, my life, and also for the continuing of progressive movements in the Valley and the movements that are currently happening all throughout the world. I think some of you are aware of the global climate strike that happened. That's with Greta Thunberg. I think she would be out there, CAROLYN KRAUSE, this past Friday. And I think she would be there with her signs. She was very well known for her signs. As you could see behind me, these were one of many that she made. Stop procrastinating, start desalinating.
Very
Salton
nice.
seed. Yeah, she made so many, and she was just an inspiration for that part of artistic side of activism. So that's what really inspired me to I just gravitated to her and all of her artwork. Another one was just this huge, I don't know how, maybe 25 foot, I don't know, some of you remember. Some of you actually were there during Occupy Wall Street, and that's how we all met, some of us here, and we were able to hold up that huge banner. Me, her, and another person that's not here, Phyllis, she also took place in making that, and that was Fossil Fuel Not Cool. So, yeah, so she was, she just inspired all of us, and I think what she showed me was that no matter what the climate is like anywhere in our communities, you always tell the truth. And Carolyn, I just want to thank you. And because of you, some of us out there in this progressive movement will continue marching forward. So thank you, Carolyn.
Next, I'm going to introduce Steve Finger. If I can have Lou Stewart and Lanny Swerdlow come up to the side here so you can do yours next.
Good evening. I'm delighted that Lorraine had a chance to speak to all of you about Carolyn Krause, a good friend of many of us, a good friend of Kathleen Barrio's as well, that I want to speak to you about. I'd like to mention that if Carolyn were here and Mario, excuse me, because Kathleen Barrio is important to me, and on her behalf, I will tell you that she would be absolutely surprised by this honor. One of the most humble people that you would meet, a person that was always volunteering, always ready to say yes, a member of many clubs, Palm Desert Greens, the Progressive Democrats of the Desert, Democrats of the Desert, and Occupy Coachella Valley. This was a woman that you could count on to say, yes, I will help. And she did, again and again and again. For more than 5 years, I participated in organizations along with her. And many of the people that I see out here now are in those organizations who knew her personally. Kathleen was really a paragon of peace because she exemplified peace. I never, ever heard her raise her voice. I saw many, many people come up to her warmly to greet her. You would wonder why, because she wasn't one of these people that were out on the street, but she was one of these people like us that actually feels the importance of doing what we do. Knowing that every person counts, as was said here before, that little part, that one role that you yourself play, that is what makes this happen. Everything that we are hoping to see come about will come about because we are that one extra person, the one person that gets the job done, that finishes the race, that crosses that line. I will tell you on her behalf, and I am speaking only on her behalf, that the people that are here tonight are the people that she would always have wanted to be with. I thank you all for coming. I thank you all for understanding what a day of peace means. It is exactly what I'm talking about, that one little part. It's a day of peace, but then there's tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, until there is indeed peace. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much on her behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Lou Stewart.
I wish you could have all known Marnel Farley. We met in Occupy, like so many of us tonight, so many of the activists here, and she was a yoga instructor and a Buddhist, and therefore I'm going to quote from Songyal Rinpoche's Tibetan Book of the Living and Dying. Even Buddha died. His death was a teaching to shock the naive, the indolent, and the complacent, to wake us up to the truth that everything is impermanent and death an inescapable fact of life. As he was approaching death, the Buddha said, "Of all mindfulness meditations, that on death is supreme." Ask yourself, do you remember at every moment that you're dying and everyone and everything living is, and so treat at all times, all beings with compassion? Has your understanding of impermanence become so keen and urgent that you are devoting every second to the pursuit of enlightenment? If you can answer yes to both questions, then you have truly understood impermanence. This is how Marnel lived, meditatively and with compassion for everyone in her community. She was a steadfast activist, and her determination to live blamelessly and improve the world never wavered. In her last moments, she meditated and left existence as she lived, smiling.
Thank you very much. And the last will be Lanny Swerlo.
In 2015, I was at one of these events where I was asked to present Paul KRASSNER with his Lifetime Achievement Award. I am honored to be asked once again to say a few words about Paul. Paul KRASSNER was a pivotal organizer and mentor of the swirling cultural upheaval that began in the late 50s and continued through the Vietnam War era. He coined the word yippie in 1967, co-founded the Youth International Party with Jerry Rubin and Abbie Hoffman. I was among the activists who turned the Chicago's 1968 Democratic National Convention into a defining moment for the protest against the Vietnam War. He truly was an iconic comic for the 60s and up until the time of his death. LA Times wrote, he has the uncanny ability to alter your perception of reality permanently. The New York Times says he's an expert at ferreting out hypocrisy. George Carlin said, this man is dangerous and funny and necessary. Don Emis claimed he was the comic genius of the 20th century. When People magazine nominated him for the father of the underground press, Paul demanded a paternity test. Groucho Marx, who allegedly took LSD with Paul, said that Paul KRASSNER will wind up as the only live Lenny Bruce. Oh, wow. Unfortunately, Paul is not alive anymore. So let me take a few moments to tell you why he is so iconic in my life. Paul literally changed the way I viewed and saw life. When I was 17 and just started college, I came across a copy of The Realist magazine, which he had just started publishing after leaving Mad magazine. I was so taken aback by its context and its challenge to the status quo. It really almost unnerved me. It was the very first magazine I ever subscribed to. When my mother found it, she was aghast. It was when I moved to Palm Springs in 2000, I was ecstatic to learn that Paul was living right here in Desert Hot Springs. I had secured the amphitheater at Palm Desert for what was to be the largest ever marijuana presentation in the Coachella Valley. And so, being a little nervous, contacting an icon of my own, I approached Paul asking if he would be the headliner, and I was absolutely delighted when he said he would be. And in 2000, holding a marijuana thing in Coachella Valley was a little, well, it was looked askance upon. But I didn't care, because Paul KRASSNER was going to be there. Paul and I corresponded frequently after that, and I was in awe of his writing. He returned the favor. He asked me to print 2 of my articles in his book, Pot Stories for the Soul. This book is still available if you'd like to read it sometime. Paul was kind enough and considerate enough of me to continue allowing me to invade his personal life. My boyfriend and I, Victor, and I enjoyed some of my most stimulating discussions of my life at his home with his wife, Nancy, spending hours getting stoned and viewing the foibles of the world from the point of view of atheists, and that's what we were. Here's a picture of Paul and I together on the hood of my white Honda with the nationally famous California license plate that says, "No God." I get some really interesting comments on that. But atheism was part of Paul's life, and it was part of his shtick, his repertoire. And one of the things he said that's been reprinted many times was, quote, "Since I was both an atheist and an absurdist, I had decided the most absurd thing I could do would be develop an intimate relationship with a God that I didn't believe in." But you know, we have some people talking about spirituality, and Paul was a spiritual person. He sometimes bridled at the idea that spirituality is somehow hooked into religious belief in God and all this stuff. So he didn't believe that. Paul said, "I guess I'm a spiritual secularist," if that's not an oxymoron. My paths of secularism and spirituality are the same. I try to do the appropriate thing at each moment. The appropriate thing for Paul at every moment of his life was to speak truth to power and to do it in a way that made people laugh and think and question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have to say, it's always a blessing to be here. The people that are in this room, and sadly who are not in this room, very, very honored to be with you guys tonight. If you've been to raise your hand if you've ever been to an awards ceremony before. Have they ever gone long? Yeah. They always go long. We are running just a little bit long, but here's where we're at, just so that you can kind of pace yourself. I have just one more speaker, then we're going to have a meditation, and then a closing. So give me 10 more minutes, we're fine. You're going to get out of here shortly if you need some more. There's some more drinks in the back, and there's still some stuff up here. Okay, at this time I would like to bring up Judy Shea. Judy, are you here? Judy?
Yeah, Bob, you're there.
Okay, Judy may have gone. Bob, did you want to jump in just for a okay, perfect. See, this is, and I appreciate Bob, thank you. This is how we adapt in the environment. I have a number of people that have been so gracious to either cut their comments shorter or to bow out gracefully, so I appreciate that. So at this time, I'm going to bring up the beautiful Dale OLANSKY. She's going to give a short meditation and a closing prayer, and then I'll adjourn our meeting.
Just out of curiosity, how many people meditate in this room? Awesome, that's great. When I was talking about peace earlier, meditation is one of those things that we can do to increase our inner peace. It's a great practice, a great spiritual practice. And for those of you that are into your cell phones, there's so many apps that you can download now that just do the meditating for you, and they're really wonderful. It's just a great way to go within and get that peace. And just to do a shameless plug for my center, at Center for Spiritual Living Palm Desert, corner of Portola and Shadow Mountain or Ridge, whatever it is. We have a monthly meditation, peace meditation, actually, the first Wednesday of every month from 6 to 6:30. You're in, you're out, and you're back in a place of peace, and it's really wonderful to gather together. When people meditate together, it goes to this whole other level, and perhaps you'll feel that tonight as I take you through a very brief meditation. If you don't want to participate in this, that's fine. I just invite anybody that wants to go through this very lovely, calm peace meditation for calming the spirit. I invite you to join me. If you'd like to close your eyes right now, I'll just take you through this easily and effortlessly. And I will finish with just a very brief closing prayer as well. So that'll come on the heels of this. So I just invite you to relax into your chair and close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. And just allow yourself to relax into the chair, letting go of anything that might be constricting you, anything on your mind. Just let it go. You have time to just set it aside and be present to what is. I just want you to become aware of your breath. Feel yourself breathing in and out, just very natural. Just feel the breath as it enters in your body with a cool feeling and then warming as it gently travels down into the lungs And fill the lungs with a deep inhale, bringing in energy and vitality and the life force that you are. And as you exhale, feel the body releasing toxins, stress, and any negativity that has accumulated. Just release them and let them go. And just stay with your breath, focusing on the feeling of deep peace, just inhaling and exhaling. Becoming aware of the energy that is in your body, being aware of anything that you're tuning into, and just be with it without judgment, just being that observer of you and your body as you are in this relaxed state. And now become aware of the warmth and tingling of every cell in your body temple. Your body is alive. It's alive with energy, and you're just in this state of coming to know what that is, to feel the cells that give you life. And now feel the energy that is in your extended environment, in every part of nature, in every living thing. We all have that life, just expressed in different forms, that's all. And so bring all these energies together and just feel them as one. One that is expressed in multiplicity, but still the same common life. And visualize all of that energy shining brightly, just like the sun. And bring the shining glow of bright energy over the crown of your head. And feel it starting to travel down into your body from the top of your head, slowly going down into your face and neck, traveling down into your shoulders, all the way down into your arms, down to your fingers. And just feel the healing energy and light going down into your chest, all the way down to your hips, as it continues to travel down your legs, all the way down to your toes. And just feeling that light that is all around you, within you, radiating from you. Your whole body is now filled with this healing energy and this light. It's all in you. It's always there, by the way. And just allow that healing energy to completely fill any physical areas that are needing healing energy. That energy knows where to go. And just feel it warming, healing and expanding through whatever areas of your body need that healing energy, that wholeness, that light. And allow that healing light to bring peace and healing to any emotional issues, any traumas, anything you're walking through that's unsettling for you. Let that healing light do what it does so well. Bring you back to peace. Just let it do its thing. Now bring your awareness to any intentions or desires that you may have, and hold that light around those intentions, knowing because they've come to your awareness, they're here to be brought forward into life as your dreams, as joy, as your goals. If they're on your heart to do, they're meant to be. So hold those thoughts and those intentions or desires, and allow the healing energy to bring your deepest desires to life and your intentions into reality. Just allow it, and they will take their form. You will be guided. And now feel your connection to whatever you want to call higher energy, divine energy, God, love, whatever that is for you. Feel your connection to that light and that love. And just know that all is one. We are one. We are one. And radiate that peace of knowing, of oneness, of love, of our common humanity, holding it in your heart, radiating it out, and sending that love wherever it needs to go to comfort somebody, to bring hope to somebody, to bring about a restoration within the spirit that allows somebody to walk forward in life rejuvenated and restored, knowing that your intention for that allows it to show up in whoever's life it needs to be. And so let's just stay with this deep, relaxing, peaceful feeling of bliss. Remember this feeling. Whenever you need it, come back to this moment and bring it back to life and allow it to bring you back to peace, to balance, to equilibrium. And so take a deep breath of air in with me. And as we exhale, I'm just so grateful to know that in this very moment, in this very room, was a great, powerful demonstration of people who care, people who are righteous, people who aren't afraid to speak up, people who know what's right, to know that their power, to know that their word, that their conviction inspires others, and they are the change makers. And so I honor every person who is honored today on this day of peace, people who are making a difference. I am knowing they are all so very blessed, and we are blessed to be in their company. For they inspire us to do better, to do more, to speak up, to not allow injustice 1 minute more to take place in this world. And so I know that as we leave tonight, we may feel stirred to do something to help. We may feel enlightened to be better at our own lives, to be more peaceful, to be more understanding, to be compassionate. And so I know whatever we leave with today, we are left with something that is giving us a greater life, a greater inspiration, greater hope to know that together we can change the world, and we are changing it right now. And so knowing we are all safe on our journeys home, wherever we go, I'm so grateful to bless everybody, knowing that goodness lies within, and together we stand in this common humanity to do what's best, to create the change for peace, and to know that we stand together as one. And so I just let go and I let it be as we say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing else I can say. She said it so absolutely perfectly. So with that, I'm going to end this 14th Annual Peace Day Awards. May you go in peace.
Thank you, Laura.